Okay, so a while ago I posted a comment on a YouTube video saying something about slap tone, basically explaining that when you learn you're generally taught to close your fingers for a tone and open them for a slap, but when you get a little bit more experienced you can play either a tone or a slap with your fingers either open or closed, if that makes sense. So a couple of people have asked me to put a post up demonstrating the technique, so that's what I'm going to have a little go at today. Anyway, so this is just my, let's say, my normal slap tone without really thinking about it too much. Something like that. And I'll give you some close-ups of my hands in a bit. So when I play normally like that, I don't consciously try and open my fingers. Anyway, let's backtrack a little bit. So when I first learned, I was taught, like most people probably, to close my fingers for a tone, to arrive at the drum something like this, and this is what you get when you close your fingers. Cool, 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 this kind of sound. And then I was taught to open my fingers and let them bounce to get a slap. Ga, ga. So closed, tone, open, high note slap. But what I found I was doing then was kind of making really obvious movements, sort of like opening my fingers really wide for slap and then closing them for tone, and that makes it really difficult to play fast. And then when you watch Africans, really good Africans play, if you watch their fingers closely, you'll notice that they kind of have their fingers slightly open all the time, whether they're doing a slap or a tone. So I started playing around with that technique a little bit, and now when I play, I don't know if you can see from there, but I'll try and interleave some close-ups. I generally leave my fingers kind of like this all the time. Whether I'm playing a slap or a tone. So here's a little exercise that I've developed for that. When I was learning, I heard lots of kind of myths that when you open your fingers you let the sound out, and when you close your fingers you keep the sound in. It's only my opinion, but I think that's a complete load of rubbish. I think it's much more to do with the angle of attack of your fingers and the tension in your fingers. So here's a little exercise. Shake your hand out, put it out in front of you, relax all of the muscles in your hand and arm, and you'll notice that your hand drops slightly forward and your fingers in their natural state will hang ever so slightly open. So now raise your hand to vertical. I've got the shakes a little bit, out too late last night, and you'll feel that you're using muscles in your arm just to hold your hand up. Now your fingers should still be slightly hanging open, and you'll notice the little fingers hanging slightly further. That's kind of most people. So to my mind, when I close my fingers, I'm introducing a little bit of tension in the fingers. So that's the first really important point. Now, when I was training with a guy called Nansady, I bent down like right eye level with his drum and watched his hands, and I noticed that when he slapped, firstly when Nansady plays, he doesn't move his hand at all. Same position, same finger position, looks exactly the same, but gets a slap and a tone. So I noticed when he was playing a slap, his fingers came down, slightly open, hit the skin of the drum, and then kind of ricocheted, boom, like that, bounced. But when he played a tone, his fingers came down, hit the skin of the drum, ricocheted maybe just a millimetre, and then stopped dead. And to me, that reflects the fact that you have tension in your fingers. So here's the thing: if you do this exercise, put your hand level, close your fingers, feel those muscles that you're using to hold your fingers closed, then let your fingers slightly open, but put a little bit of tension in them, using the same muscles. In theory, here's my fingers slightly open, a little bit of tension. I can still get that nice cool, cool, cool tone sound, and just by relaxing my fingers, the high sound. With open fingers. And even as an extreme, I'd never do this, but I should even be able to get it with my fingers completely open. But really, it's not so much open finger tones, it's just not bothering to make an obvious change between open fingers and closed fingers when you play your slap tone. So that's the exercise. Have a little play around with it. One thing I would say is if you can't already get a really nice slap tone, don't play about with this, because the act of closing your fingers will help you actually develop the muscles you'll need later on. So there you go, open finger slap tone.